Hello, everyone. Steve Westman. Welcome to this special Wednesday edition of the Audiophile Roundtable. The Roundtable is very small today because it's just myself and my good friend Josh Norrid from Hi-Fidelity Records. I'm going to bring him in right away. Josh, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
Going really well. I guess this is really a special one. I don't normally do sort of a Wednesday live stream or roundtable. And I know you and I have been chatting a lot. You told me you had some goodies, and I was really excited to hear about these goodies. And I think you brought it today, though, too. I think you brought some stuff today. We know from the title, it's going to be a special classic records, Led Zeppelin road case unboxing. And I know we were talking sort of before the show. I think the Classic Records only produced, I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, about 500 of those, right?
Yeah, correct. So there wasn't a whole lot of these made. Obviously, everyone knows they did the 33s, and they did do a few select single-sided boxes, I believe, of 45s. But for the most part, yeah, they did the 33s, and they did about 500 of these road cases. I don't believe they even had the licensing to do so.
Okay.
Is the story I've heard. Somebody can correct me. So there wasn't very many of them made. It has every Zeppelin record, cut at 45 RPM, single-sided, mastered all analog from the original tapes.
So right there, think about it. You don't even need a gym membership. You just buy this road case box, and you have to get up every 12 minutes.
That's right. Yeah.
And then
But
put in a new record. It's amazing. Well, thank you for doing this. And I know we got a lot of goodies. I think we're going to talk a lot of just different, I think really, what is it? Maybe some rare audiophile pressings today you want to show us. We'll talk about that. I mean, we can get into some new releases before we start. I mean, we're getting into middle of December already. The Atlantic 75 series for analog production seemed to be quite successful. I just ordered the latest Phil Collins 45 Atlantic 75 series and 45 RPM. So I'm excited to receive that. But I know last show, and I mean, you're in the record industry, and you'll probably understand my plight as a Canadian in terms of shipping, or not just shipping costs, but exchange rates and what we call, it's the duty. And this weird duty tax that gets basically charged to us. So I wanted to give you this example. So I purchased the Steely Dan Asia UHQR off of the Analog Productions website, or Acoustic Sounds website, when it came out. And so I got it delivered to my door with exchange and shipping. On my credit card, I was charged $250 Canadian, or $252 Canadian to be exact, to be absolutely exact, exact. A lot of money for a Canadian for one album, right? So then a week or two later, I get this mailed to me. This is the FedEx ground service invoice summary. So let's have a breakdown of this. So there's a clearance entry fee charge for this record to go across the US to Canadian border. That's $54. There's a Canadian goods and services tax charge of $10.40. British Columbia has their own provincial sales tax, an additional $14.50 tacked on. There's a disbursement fee, whatever that means, for $11. And then on top of that, they tax the disbursement fee another $3.25.
wow.
To a grand total of, what is that, $93.21 on top of the $252 I spent for the Asia record. So welcome to anyone that's outside of USA's paying. It's a lot. So I've got to really justify my purchases when it comes to these premium records, that's for sure.
Definitely. That's crazy. Yeah. Well, I think, is that just with FedEx, or is that with anything, with USPS or anything?
It's a border clearance fee. So if it's FedEx, if it's DHL, if it's whatever, there's going to be some sort of fee. So yeah, it's expensive. So there you go. That's not a rant. I know I've talked about it before, but I wanted to show everyone the breakdown. So that's the difference. I mean, I can't just buy everything because it's expensive, right? Other news, we've heard of Music Hall, the turntable company.
Yep.
So they were just bought out yesterday or last week by, I guess, a subsidiary of Mobile Fidelity.
Yeah. Music Direct. I think, from what I know, I think Music Direct was already pretty heavy into the equipment. I think that's where their bread was buttered, even though they own Mobile Fidelity. But I think after DSD gate. I think they're really ramping that up, and I think that might be
So
that might be
music
what's happening.
Yeah, so this is one of the record players they have. I mean, it looks I've never listened to one before, but I mean it's a decent price range for some of them. So they're getting more involved into the I guess the gear side. And I think the new company is called Turntable USA, which is pretty not very creative, but that's what the new company will be called. Jim Davis, who runs Music Direct and of course a subsidiary of MoFi, will be one of the the co-leaders of this new turntable.usa. So yeah, look for that in the year. I thought that was quite fascinating anyways. Wow. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So before we get started, I like to do these little things. I've got a new segment now and a couple of things I think you guys might enjoy. And I know we're talking Led Zeppelin, the road case. So I got a couple of things. This is kind of fun. Check this out. So you know that things that make you go, I didn't know that. I got something here for you. So
Okay.
we'll keep the theme of Led Zeppelin, obviously, but I want to go to something here. Check this out. So Automatic for the People, REM, great album, right? A lot of people probably own it. You know about it. Sounds amazing. Did you know it's classic? There's a major Led Zeppelin thing to this. Check it out. Look at this. Read that. The songs Drive, The Sidewinder Sleeps Tonight, Everybody Hurts, and Night Swimming feature string arrangements by former Led Zeppelin bassist John Paul Jones. Did you know that? Things that make you go, I didn't know that.
I've always said he's their secret weapon. I mean, they're a guitar-driven band, no doubt, but he's kind of your Swiss Army knife, right? He's on bass, he's on keys. He can do string arrangements. I mean, having a guy like that in your group, along with Jimmy Page and then John Bonham and then Robert Plant's like
crazy.
Wow. How do all these dudes find each other? It's almost like it's kismet, right?
I know. So I mean, we're probably all movie guys. Other things that make me go, is this? I was watching Gremlins with my daughter the other day, and I was like, the town scene of Gremlins. I was like, this is awfully familiar to me. I'm like, check this out. It's the same town as the Back to the Future town. Gremlins and Back to the Future. So Universal Studios, or a lot, that's what they use for both Back to the Future and Gremlins, and of course other movies. So things that make you go, didn't know that.
Gremlins, Christmas movie or not a Christmas movie?
That's like Die Hard. Is it a Christmas movie or not a Christmas movie? I think it's a Christmas movie because it's during Christmas. It has to be a Christmas movie, even though you could watch that one in June and still enjoy it. But yeah. Just like I don't watch Home Alone in June, right? That's a Christmas movie. So yeah. Now, and then last night, this is actually, I think a lot of us as record enthusiasts and whatnot will appreciate this movie. Otherwise, it's a really good movie anyways. It's on Netflix. Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke. It just came out the other day. It's you'll see that there. I would suggest watching it. Leave the World Behind, it's called. It's sort of an apocalyptic conspiracy theory, powers, outages, etc., etc. What's cool about it, if you guys watch the movie, around 45 minutes left in the movie, Julia Roberts and one of the other characters, they go into a listening room in the living room of this house that they're in, and there's a huge wall of records, and she pulls out like a 90s dance rap record, puts it on the turntable, and then right behind where your right shoulder is the same amp that they use in that. And Julia Roberts dances to this music, and I swear to God, in the movie, she's dancing like Elaine did in Seinfeld. It's pretty painful to watch her dance, but again, you'll appreciate the gear. I didn't get a chance to see what turntable it was, but they're using Macintosh amps, and they didn't show the speakers, but they did show the collection of the record collection behind. And Julia Roberts' character goes, "Oh, this is a pretty nice collection." And the guy's like, "Oh, I want to dance to some jazz." She's like, "No, I want to dance to this." So, anyways, here's the movie on Netflix. Leave the World Behind. Pretty cool, pretty awesome. So that's my first segment of things that make you go, what'd you think? That's what I'm probably gonna get some comments. Westman, you're bored, man. What are you doing? So no, there you go. So I think we should start off. I mean, this is the money shot. People want to see this. I've never seen one, only in pictures, so I've never seen an actual live video of this. So why don't we start off, Josh? Tell us a little bit how you came about this road box, the Led Zeppelin Classic Records road box. Tell us all about it.
Sure, yeah. So to start off, I've only seen it once, and that was Mr. Chad Caston's personal copy, which he let me caress and listen to. Bless him. for letting me do that. But so I've actually heard them, and it's something to behold. I mean, the 33s are great, but the 45s are awesome. So when I left Acoustic Sounds / Analog Productions, struck out, decided to start my own rare record business, and this is my second year in business. And I buy collections, but also do consignment. So I had a gentleman reach out to me, a viewer of your show, and said, "Hey, I have some stuff for consignment, and I want to work with you."
Let's hope he's watching today, then.
I think he is. Yeah, he's requested to remain anonymous, but yeah, for sure. So he wanted me to put it out and get the word out about it, because it's a rare piece. You know, not only is it rare, but to find one that's factory sealed like this gentleman's is extremely rare. You know, we're going on 2 decades since this thing has been out. I think it retailed for around $700, and to have one, he's had the restraint to not open it and listen to it is pretty impressive. But yeah.
So let's talk about that. I mean, how many were, I guess, what is the number produced? I've heard 400, I've heard 500. Like, what is that number? I mean, it's low no matter what it is. If it's 500, it's low. Do you know?
I think it's around that. If I'm correct, you know, when they do licensing for these things, I believe that they only had the permission to do 33, and I could be wrong. So don't anybody get after me. So correct me if I'm wrong. I do not believe that they had permission to do the road case. I think that was something that the owner of Classic Records kind of did as for fun. And I think that's the reason why there wasn't any more of them made. That's my understanding anyways. So we have every Zeppelin record in there, cut at 45, single-sided. Like I said, it has the 12-inch of Stairway in there. They're all divided by actual tabs that say, you know, Zeppelin 1, Zeppelin 2 inside of the road case. And it has foam in the top. I mean, it's just like a musician's road case. It's metal. I mean, this thing is 50 pounds. You want to go ahead and take a look at this guy?
Let's unbox this. I want to see this puppy.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Cool.
Hang on. Yeah.
All right. All right. Let's get this open. Got some packing peanuts. There we go. A little bit all right. This thing's a behemoth. Oh man, so there we go. As you can see, it's factory sealed. Still has the Classic Records hologram.
Put that right up to the camera so the folks can see it. I want to see it closer.
Take a look. You can see that, dude.
So does it say Classic Records on the actual sticker? Is that what I'm reading?
Yeah, it does. Let's see if we can get a better angle of it there. Of course, it has their slogan, "Remember the Sound," on there. And if you can look closely, it still has the plastic film that protects the because this part is actually a hard plastic, so it has the plastic film to protect that from getting scratched, and we can rotate it around. You can see there's the hinges on the other side. Front facing, we have Coda, and then on the other side we have the Qui-X SVP stamp, which is the formula that's on here. But yeah, this thing is really something. Like I said, hard to find one that is hard to find one that's not sealed. It's one of the rarest Led Zeppelin pieces on vinyl in the world. So this is something for the right collector is going to be something, whether they're buying it as an investment and they want to keep it sealed, or they want to have it sitting in their music room, open it and listen to it. This is something really special for the right Led Zeppelin collector. So really cool. I'm gonna set it on top of this speaker behind me, and I will be right back in frame.
So one of the viewers, he says here, if you look at the label on the top of the box, you'll see the case itself was made in Saskatoon, Canada, about a mile from where he is at the moment. So thank you for that, Bardo Ken. So anyone knows where Saskatchewan is, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, that's in the middle of Canada, one of the coldest areas in Canada. So apparently the road case box is made in Canada. Does it say that anywhere?
It does, yeah, on the
Yeah,
top. You're
yeah.
exactly right.
There you go. So okay, so rare, one of 500 made. Obviously, you're in the business of selling records. What's it listed for? Like, what can someone buy it for?
Sure. So, we actually had one when I was at Acoustic Sounds that we sold that was unsealed. And we sold that for 12,000. The last sealed version I've seen was actually Michael Hobson, the CEO of Classic Records, his personal copy, and that sold for 25 grand. And that's been a few years ago. But I haven't seen any sealed ones sell really in a long time. I mean, it's so that tells you how rare it is. It looks like unsealed unsealed opened examples are going from around 12 to 15. So for this one, we're going to start it off at 25. And I just think for as rare as a piece as it is, I mean, how many do you think that are out there that are still sealed? I mean, not very many. I don't think 25 is a lot of money, especially for the right collector that wants to add this to their collection.
With only probably less than 500 ever produced. I mean, it is rare. I wonder how they got away with it not being licensed and able to still sell it, or did they not sell it retail, or what's the backstory there?
I think they did sell it retail. That's just kind of the backstory I've heard. Hopefully somebody can correct me. Maybe Michael Hobson will hop on and tell me that
I have asked Michael Hobson to come on our show, so I'm hoping at some point in the next year he does. I'd love to have a chat with him. That'd be great.
Yeah, he's a visionary. I mean, truly. I mean, you had Chad already had Analog Productions, and then we had MoFi, obviously. But he comes along, and I think he just kind of changed the game. He was really able to snag some of these big time artists and get the licensing for them. I mean, whether it's The Who, Jethro Tull, Zeppelin, Miles Davis. I mean, and the quality of the product was just a step above anyone else's, I think, at the time. From the jackets to and then the Clarity vinyl. I mean, that started with Classic Records. I mean, when Chad at Analog Productions, he bought Classic Records. He absorbed everything. So the Clarity vinyl belongs to him.
The Led Zeppelin metal, maybe, possibly.
Yeah, possibly. Might have seen one of those running around there. Yeah, so and it'd be awesome to see Analog Productions do the 33s at some point, and I think that that's probably in their that's down the road for them. That's something they're wanting to do. But from what I know, I just think it's highly doubtful that they'll ever do the road case ever.
I was thinking about that. I mean, if Analog Production is able to do that, I mean, here's the problem, right? You've got Rhino Hi-Fidelity that can do it as well on their Hi-Fidelity label. Kevin Gray cutting it on, So I don't know. I mean, they could, Rhino could surprise us all and do the whole Led Zeppelin, possibly.
They could, they'd have to obviously get the tapes out again and redo them. The easy and clean way would just be to use the Classic Records metalwork, because I don't know how many of your listeners out there know. I mean, okay, so the RL Hot Mix, it's better than the Classic Records. It's got a little more slam, a little more low end to it, but the Classic Records is awesome. But the rest, I think the Classic Records 3 is the best version ever of that record. And as far as, you talk about one, everyone wants to talk about the UK Plum. Well, I think the Classic Record stacks up right next to the UK Plum. So the mastering's great. I don't know what they could go back and do if they did get the tapes and Kevin cut them. How much better he could do on that. But yeah, I hope they are able to do the 33s. I know that's, something that's been bannered around the groups for a long time.
And we will, I mean, people probably know this, but Bernie Grundman was one that cut it from the original master tapes. And then I know the story goes back. I mean, prior to Classic Records, Bernie Grundman never put BG or Bernie Grundman in the dead wax. So Charles Hobson, I believe, is the one that said, Bernie, you got to put your initials in the dead wax. So that's when BG started showing up in all records that Bernie cut was when Classic Records first got on the scene in the early 90s. So I thought that was a little fun fact as well.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, he did the BG, and then there's some things like the ORG pressings. He actually has the full Bernie Grundman in the dead wax, and I don't know how he was able to get that in the lacquer so perfect.
Loud Monday, a friend of mine, Jerome Sabug, he cut a record called Vintage, and he got Bernie Grundman to cut it from the original master tapes, and it does also have Bernie Grundman's signature in the dead wax, not just BG. So you don't see that very often. I think that's really cool. It's a nice memento and token as well, right? To have that, it's really cool. I'm into that stuff. That's probably really lame and OCD, but that's just me.
No, I think it's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's all this nerdy stuff that we all love, and I say that affectionately because I'm the biggest, record nerd in the world. I've been collecting records since I was a kid. I mean, I know a lot of folks have gotten into it in the last, decade or decade and a half since it's kind of snowballed into what it is now. But I've always loved vinyl. I've loved the sound of it, and I've evolved and gotten nicer equipment and bought nicer records and found out about nicer records, especially when I worked at Acoustic Sounds and Analog Productions. I really learned a lot there. Really about the last 20 years of audiophile records and where it's come, where people like Chad has taken it. He's one of the forefathers, him and even Jim Davis, and Michael Hobson, and you got to mention Abby Fawn at Impex, which was formerly Cisco. I mean, these people are doing it because they love it, and they're trying to bring us these special pressings of these records because we know how great they can sound, and then they do too. So it's a labor of love for all of us, for them, but especially for me. For your cool rare stuff.
So you brought other things as well. I know we talked before we started the show. I mean, I wanted to see some really cool, some audiophile collections. I mean, you mentioned that you're doing a lot of consignments. I'm assuming some of the stuff that you can show the folks today is some consignment records from someone's collection in their entire life, and you're now able to, I guess, have the privilege of selling it. So, I mean, what did you bring today? I mean, sometimes we don't talk enough just strictly about the records, right? I really want to get back to the sort of the old school. Let's look at some records. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, these are all consignment pieces. I do buy, but you do run into some collections that are, that have pieces that are super pricey. These folks, they don't want to sell them on their own, but they also don't want to get pennies on the dollar for them, which I try to pay more than anybody or as much as I can and give everyone a fair deal. But sometimes consignment's just the way to go. I think the first one I'm going to show you today is, this is actually a test pressing. This is the RTI test pressing for Jeff Buckley Grace, the ORG 45 RPM. Now, they only made 2,500 of the actual production LP, so that one's already rare as it is. But this is actually a sealed RTI test pressing. I'll hold it up and you can see the label. Yeah, there's the label on this one. I mean, classic 90s album. Everyone loves Jeff Buckley, and it's just it's a fantastic. I've heard the ORG; it's great. But if you collect test pressings and you want something really special, this is a great piece to have. I have some other test pressings. Here's another sealed. This is David Ostrek, Scottish Fantasia Violin Concerto ORG 45. Take a look. It'll focus on that. So this is another sealed ORG test pressing. Speaking of Bernie Grundman, putting his whole name, all of these ORGs actually have Bernie Grundman spelled out. He did it in the dead wax. Another one we've got a Duke Ellington. This is a Blues in Orbit, 45 RPM ORG. Take a look at that. There we go. Get the glare out of there. Let it see if it'll focus up. There we go. Then we have another one. We have this is actually a test pressing ORG 45 of Taj Mahal, Recycling the Blues. So if you're a Taj Mahal fan, this one's a super rare one. So this is an ORG test pressing. This is actually an unreleased title. They didn't actually end up putting this one into production. This is Bill Evans Live in Paris Volume 2, ORG 45 RPM. So as rare as the other ones are, you know, you couldn't have even bought this. This was something that they abandoned for whatever reason. But this is unreleased. I'll even show there you go. See it stamped on there. Boom. And another note, I have seen these have all been cleaned on the KL audio.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Have you actually you had some you played it, you've tested it out?
Yep. These have all been played and tested. I cleaned them on KL audio, put them in fresh MoFi sleeves, and then the jackets either went in a fresh Japanese resealable or MoFi ultra clear, depending on the size of the jacket. So, I mean, I treat these records like they're going to go in my collection. That's kind of my standard, and that's the standard I want to pass on to the customers. So, and then we have some more run-of-the-mill stuff. You know, we've got your 30th anniversary Dark Side of the Moon, the last all analog cut Dark Side by Kevin Gray
and Doug Sachs.
Right?
On the equipment that Chad still has at his at the church there in Kansas, correct?
That's right. Yeah, the old mastering lab. Right. Yeah, it's still up there. It's funny. You know, Sherwin and Doug, you know, they put all that equipment together for the mastering lab. And, you know, when they took it all apart and brought it from California back to Salina, you know, they had to have instructions. There's actually an instruction booklet how to put it all together. And a lot of it's like handmade stuff, like stuff that Sherwin and Doug kind of rigged to do what they needed it to do. And there's a huge brochure that they made with drawings and stuff showing how everything was fashioned and made, how it works. So it really is kind of a neat time capsule to see it. So yeah. And all the classic records that were mastered at the mastering lab. So, I mean, that's another thing. Here's another cool piece. This is actually an original 96 pressing of REM, New Adventures in Hi-Fi. Rare record. You can see it's got the original label.
That's a double LP 33, I believe, right?
Correct. Yeah, this is a double LP. I believe this one came out either before Monster or right after Monster, I think. I think so. I think that's what came up with that. But yeah, here we have another one. This is another rare piece. So I don't know how many Prince fans we have out there, but I'm a huge Prince fan. RIP. So everyone knows about the Black Album. Well, it was released as a promo only in '87. So there was only promo copies that got out, and it got pulled by Prince. And then later on, there became so many bootlegs off of the promo, and I believe some of the promo CDs got out, that Prince was like mad almost about the bootleg. So he said, let me tell you what, let's do a limited run of these. And anyone that has a bootleg can send it in. The first 1,000 people can send in the bootleg, and we will get you one of these guys. So this is the only production Black Album by Prince and it was they did one pressing of it. How many are out there? Not many. So you can see the hype sticker right there. And then here's the barcode.
So what is that selling for right now in the aftermarket?
I mean, sealed, there's not a whole lot of sealed copies out there. I mean, most of them have been opened and listened to, and rightfully so. It's a fantastic album, but, you know, probably $500-$600 on the market. I think the promo copies, you know, go up into the 1,000, 2,000 range. I think some of the original promo copies, even more than that. I think one of them might have even sold for $10,000-15,000. So
I'm assuming the track listing, Josh, on that album is what he's asking. Is there a track listing on the back of the album cover?
there is no track listing. No track listing. I think the only track listing, I'm not even sure it's even on the actual label on the record. But yeah, this was this only came out in Germany, so they never released this in the United States. So a German pressing. If you wanted it and you had a record store in the United States, you had to order it in as an import. And
if you're reading the Music Sanctuary, it just said the Prince Black album made it into the Canadian market before it getting pulled. So it made it to Canada. There's probably a few copies around in the Canadian market as well.
Definitely, yeah. Good segue, Uncle Neil.
A good old Canadian, a good old Canadian boy. There you go. Nice.
Yeah. A sealed copy of Lanois, classic, produced by Daniel Lanois. There's a lot of just Neil and his guitar on this, but like on the track "Walk With Me," if anybody's familiar, I mean, it absolutely smokes. The bass is just, it'll rattle your windows. I mean, so this is a fantastic record, and this is sealed. Take a better look at it there. And everything here is super clean, sharp corners. I mean, there's nothing here that's been abused. Like I said, everything has come from a audiophile collection. Speaking of another great songwriter, this is a super rare one. So I don't know if you're familiar, but Speaker's Corner was originally called Vivanti Productions in the early days. So this is a Vivanti production of J.J. Cale's Naturally, all analog. I don't think there's a better copy of this that exists. I mean, the Shelter sounds good, but the Speaker's Corner, I think, has it beat. And this one actually still has the shrink intact. As you can see, classic J.J. Cale. I know we've been talking a lot about, the one steps. Everyone loves the Santana Abraxas one step, and that's supposed to be the end all be all of that particular record. But how many people know about the Kessler German pressing? Have you heard of this, Steve?
I have not.
Yeah, so this was done in the 90s. This is an all analog production by George Kessler, pressed in Germany. And this is supposed to be, if not right behind, right on level with the one step. And it goes for a fraction of the price of the one step.
I was going to ask you that. So what's the Abraxas one step going for now that we've gotten through the DSD debacle? I mean, is it $1,500, $2,000? Is that what we're going for still?
Still around there. And I think it's just because of not only of the sound, but it's just, what they do. I think they only did a few thousand.
It was also the very first one. I think there was 2,500 press. And I remember when that was advertised for $99 back in 2000. Was it 2016? I was like, oh man, that's a lot of money for one album. And that was 2016. So I sort of took a hard pass on it, pretty stupid, but I mean, yeah. But the Kessler one, what's that going for right now? Like how much are they?
These are going for around, $300 to $400, which is way cheaper than the one step, but I think it rivals it. And take a look at the label here. If we can get it up. There you go.
Hear the music. I love it.
Best as we can. Yeah, hear the music. Yeah. So there's a lot of these little boutique labels that didn't make it, Another one like Sweet Thunder.
Yep.
From the 70s and 80s, those are ones you don't see very often, So a lot of people have tried to be in the game, but haven't had the longevity as some of the ones that are around now.
Well, you know what? I know Chad's been, Chad from Analog Productions has been on been on a bunch of these shows, and gets frustrated at times when us go and maybe are negative about certain pressings or whatnot. But I understand his passion, and I understand and I get it as well. It is a tough game to actually do, and you got to give kudos and marks to the companies that are still doing it and successful. I mean, there's a big layout of money you need to invest in, to buy the licensing and to obviously produce these records. I get it, and I know these guys think they have the best sounding records, and they should, because if they don't, they shouldn't be selling records. And I completely understand and respect that. And you know, a little bit of criticism now and then, I understand. I mean, you know, not every record's going to sound perfect or the best ever, but again, we're in a time where I think all these records are sounding pretty amazing. I really do. The ones that are coming out today, like the Atlantic 75 series, you hear nothing but praise about these. I mean, just praise. Or the UHQRs that are coming out, such as the Asia, we've seen some incredible positive things on that as well. So this is the time as well, in this era now that we're seeing some just amazing sounding vinyl. I do believe that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, analog, the Atlantic 75 is just such a huge thing for analog productions. I mean, the breadth of titles that they have, and combined with their quality of the using the Stoughton jackets, the pressed at QRP. I mean, that's what we want, and Chad is delivering, and then you got Abby at and Impex, they're getting ready to come out with the Getz Gilberto One Step.
Let me ask you that. Yeah, that's supposed to be amazing. Obviously, I know AP did that one. I have that one on. I think it's 45 RPM, if I'm not mistaken, the one that I have. What else is Impex doing in the next year? Do we have an idea of what else they're releasing? Because I mean, they've got some great stuff over the years. They've done really well.
Yeah, that's the main. I think they're really pushing that one hard, and I think they just had, what was it, the Bud Shank, I think,
okay,
that came out. But I think that this One Step's going to blow people's mind. I heard it at Axpona back in April, and I mean, I don't know if it was the system that I was hearing it on. I'm sure that was part of it, but it was breathtaking. And to hear Stan Getz's son, talk about his father and Astrid Gilberto, and the recording of the record was really, really special. I really appreciate Abby putting that all together for us. So that's put that on your radar. Pre-order that now.
Is there a limit on that one?
I'm not sure. Good question. Good question. Yeah. Maybe you need to get Abby on. Reach out and get her.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I will definitely do that in the new year. See if she wants to come on. That'd be great. If anyone knows if they've pressed a limited amount, I'd like to know that. If you put that in the comments, that'd be interesting. But yeah, I mean, so now it's Christmas time. Do you have any Christmas albums that you like? I know on Monday I did a little bit of a Christmas thing, right? So I mean, everyone has their go-to Christmas record or CD. Do you have yours?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm talking about maybe my favorite Christmas vinyl record, it has to be the Analog Productions Charlie Brown Christmas, the 45. But if we're talking about CD, I'm gonna pimp Analog Productions here again. The Wonderful Sound of Christmas SACD, which is a hybrid, I believe. So you can play it in your regular CD player as well. I mean, it just has a really nice mix of old school classics with some new school artists on there as well. And I think that's one you can kind of put in your car or at home and just let it play. Awesome. What about you?
The car still has CD players?
Mine's a 2014 and it does. So what about yours?
Mine's a 2016, so it definitely does. But the newer ones, here we go. Jeremy just posted here, so they're pressing 7,500. So I thought there was a numbered, limited on that one. So that will probably go pretty quick. I mean, they're fairly priced as well, aren't they? I mean, not a bad deal.
Yeah, they are, and they know it's been done before. So it really is a challenge when you're doing one of these records that's been done by MoFi and Analog Productions, and then the Acoustic Sound series later on, to improve upon that. And I really think they have sound wise, but I just feel whatever formula they used, I forget the technical jargon for the vinyl formula they used. It is the quietest, blackest background I've ever heard on that record. It's really astounding.
Oh, wow. Now you're going to make me order it, spend more money, and have to get charged $93 in duty fees to get it over the border. Jeez, thanks a lot, Josh.
Hey, that's how they get us. That's how they get us. They know that we might have 5 copies, but they know, we want to hear the latest and greatest. Yeah. So, yeah.
So apparently there's been some problems with the Red and Blue Beatles records. I haven't heard that. I did get mine finally. I had actually ordered mine through Universal Canada on November whenever it came. It was in November, beginning of November. I was able to pre-order it. I just got it last week, so that was pretty sad. I should have waited and just ordered it on Amazon and just done it that way. It would have been a lot smarter. I would have gotten a lot quicker. But what can you do? I played it. I didn't mind it. I mean, again, I'm still into the original Beatles. I like my mono box from 2014, but I don't know. I guess I spent the money. I'm glad that I did, and I'll put it on my shelf and play it once in a while, and that will be that. Did you get it?
I didn't. I have
Yeah.
The red and the blue from, was it 2014? I guess the ones that were pressed at Optimal.
Yeah.
The all analog ones, and I'm just like, I have that, and like you said, I have the mono box. I have some select MoFi titles, and I just kind of feel like I'm good. I love the Beatles, but it's like I don't need 30 versions of the same song. Give me them. Yeah.
And that's the thing now. I mean, we know we still have like the earlier catalog that they're going to reimagine and remix and put it in the Mel software and do all this stuff. I don't know. It gets to a point like I don't know. Only so much money to spend on this stuff when you have everything, right? So we'll see. I say that now, and then I get suckered in when I watch other videos and I read reviews, and then of course I hit that order button. So I mean, I'm a hypocrite if anyone. I'm the biggest hypocrite. Obviously, I'm going to buy it. What am I saying?
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Speaking of, here's one that's been done a couple times, but it's kind of special, I think. This is actually the DCC Doors LA Woman. And what makes this one special is the AP45 is actually cut off of a copy or a safety tape, where this is actually cut off an original first generation tape. They were done by obviously the man, the legend, Steve Hoffman, on his all tube cutting system. This might be my favorite DCC record. It is stunning. I mean, like Riders on the Storm. You smile from ear to ear when you put this one on. It is the absolute, this one and the self-titled from DCC. I don't have that one in this collection, but yeah, this one's fantastic.
And what condition is that one in that you have there? It must be.
They're all minty. I mean,
yeah.
These guys were as OCD as I am, and I say that lovingly, because you pay for these things and you want to keep them for forever, and so you want to keep them pristine and nice, right?
Yeah. So so here's a question for you. I know I've been looking through the comments while we've been chatting here. If someone was to buy the Led Zeppelin box behind you, if it was you, let's say you had the 25 grand, you wanted to spend it, would you open it and play it if it was you?
That's a good question. If I was buying it as an investment piece, no. Not that it's going to be worth nothing if you open it, but I can foresee somebody buying it and keeping it sealed and keeping it in in a warehouse somewhere shut away to see it maybe.
I think it would be really tough if I had it behind me and like look at it every single day, and you hear about the classic record Zeppelin. I don't know. I'd probably capitulate at some point and open it up. And I don't think I'd feel bad about it either, because I'd want to listen. I want to hear it.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll show you these. Hold on. I got so yeah, I mean, if you want to, here's some that you won't feel as bad about opening. These are all sealed. These are the 33 classic records. These are on 180 gram rather than the 200. Now, why people are paying a premium for the 200 gram when you have to reset your VTA, as well as the pressing plants, they're not set up to press 200 gram records. So you have more pressing defects. I think the 180s have less issues, and it's the same mastering and the same sound. So, you got one, we've got two, we've got three, which I love, has the working wheel. Then we have four, Rizoso. And then, of course, we've got Houses of the Holy on 33. And these are all, the same cut, but or the same mastering, just cut at 33. So these are the ones, if I was going to buy to listen and keep that one sealed, I'd buy these.
Oh, there's a question for you, Josh. Here, Wilder's asking you, at Josh, are you sure about LA Woman? I know the self-titled is from a copy, but AP says from the master for LA Woman. Just don't want any misinformation to spread unless you have a source.
Yeah, that's just what I've heard. That's what I've heard in passing. Don't don't get on to me too much. That's what I've read and what I've heard from people. Maybe I'm wrong. I wasn't there. I'm just kind of repeating what I've heard over and over again, that the analog production was done off of a copy tape and the DCCs were done off the original master. So if anybody wants to clarify, please feel free. But that's the info that I know.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you. Thank you, Josh, for that. Now, I know we talk a lot. Chad, please do, the Zeppelin, but I truly think, I mean, I said this before, but I mean, Rhino Hi-Fidelity has a better chance of doing it since it's in their catalog than Chad would, you would think, because from a profit margin, there'd be more money, kept to Atlantic if they were to keep it within the Atlantic family. So I'm surprised that Rhino Hi-Fidelity doesn't go after that, because we know it would be a home run.
That may be that very well may be what they're going to do. It'll be interesting. I do think it is, unlike some artists. I think Jimmy Page has final say, and I think he really likes his high res, remastered vinyl that came out, almost 10 years ago now. I think that's been a really great product for them, and he may see no value in doing it. I don't know. I don't know the man, but it seems like he hasn't approved it since then. So we'll be patiently waiting.
Do we have information if Jimmy Page was part of the Classic Records cuts with Bernie Grundman at the time in the early 90s? Was he part of that whole process? Do we know if he signed off on it? Has that ever been asked by anyone?
I think he did. I do know for a fact he doesn't have a road case. So if you're watching, Jimmy, I got your road case. I got it right here. I got you a sealed one. But I don't know. He obviously had to have given them permission at some point. It's kind of like Classic also did the Almost Famous soundtrack, obviously, and that's one of the only soundtracks up to that point that Zeppelin gave permission to use their songs on. They were kind of anti using songs for advertising and stuff. So yeah, I would guess he probably knew what Classic Records was doing and was at least privy to the info.
Yeah, you would think so. So, I mean, yeah, we hear the rumors all the time. I mean, obviously, I know it would be a dream of any audiophile collector to have analog productions or acoustic sounds, obviously do it. And we always keep saying, oh, Chad has the metal, but I don't think he has the metal for all of the albums or whatever he has. We'll never know. And again, who cares unless the license, he can, negotiate a licensing fee with Jimmy Page and the record company. It's really a moot point. I mean, we can make as many videos about it as we want, but it makes no difference. I know there's a demand for it, of course, but who knows? It's up to Jimmy Page, right?
It is, yeah. And, the classics have been, kind of in the beginning, they were kind of ignored. The vinyl boom hadn't really started yet.
No, that's right. Well, think about it. Classic Records was what, 1992, 93. Is that when it first started? So think about it. The CD just, was getting, it started, the CD got big 86, 87, and obviously all the way through the late 80s to the 90s. So the CD, there was not a lot of records being produced or cut. Or pressed in the early 90s. So that's amazing that Classic Records did what they did, considering the demand and the market was going completely away from vinyl records at the time. So definitely a contrarian when it came to that. It was quite a thing for Hobson to do, that's for sure.
It was, yeah. I mean, I think, if anybody's familiar with him, I think he had that stereo store there in New York, and he was using a lot of classical records to demo out his systems. I think that's kind of where he started getting the germ of the idea of starting Classic Records started, getting clean, because I think they started with classical, I believe. I forget exactly what series it was. But yeah, just getting clean pressings to play and demo to sell the equipment. I think that's where it all started. So yeah, definitely niche at the time.
Yeah, no, it's amazing that he's able to pull that off. I mean, I think that's, I mean, obviously Analog Productions is doing a great job of it and emulating a lot of that business success as well, or success that, at Hobson had. So it's nice to see and take it to the next level of the UHQR and, the Clarity vinyl that they have at Analog Productions. It's just amazing, incredible. But it's just licensing fees, right? We talk about that a lot. And I know I had Arnaldo on the show on Monday, and he's part of the record industry. And I mean, licensing fees are, could be up to 50% of what we pay in the record. So we all complain about, oh my God, this record's costing a lot of money. But we need to stop for a second and think, okay, first of all, probably 50% of that's not going to Chad or to MoFi. And then from there, they got to, pay their staff. They got to pay the mastering engineers. They got to, make, basically buy the materials to press the vinyl and package it. So, I mean, it's a big expense, and probably we won't see records prices go down from here. They're going to go up probably in the next 5 years. And that's just reality of our economy. So I think we just need to get used to it. I know I complain a lot about the prices here in Canada. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it, but just complain, and I'll still buy, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just inflation like everything else. I mean, what did a double record cost in 1980? It was probably close to $16, $17, $18 for a double record even then. And for a single, $8, $9, $8.99.
Yeah.
And so we're 40 years out, and we have folks that are saying, oh, well, I got to pay $60 for this 45 2LP set. But, that's what they're realizing. It's just like anything else,
Yeah.
And like you said, they want to say, well, it's just plastic. But, you've got the mastering fees, like you said, the licensing fees. Then you've got, to pay people to do the artwork, print the jackets. I mean, so there's a lot that goes into it that people just don't realize.
Yeah. So Gaucho UHQR release was December the 3rd. It's got pushed to, I want to say first quarter of 2024. I don't know if there's an actual release date on the Acoustic Sounds website. I believe it's just first quarter 2024. So I'm not upset about it. It just saves me some money because I have that on pre-order as well. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'll pay it in the new year. It's fine. With Christmas coming up and everything like that, right?
Yeah, that's going to be a great one. I mean, what was the original? Was cut by Bob Ludwig, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and this one is a Ryan K. Smith as well, or did Bernie do? Or did Bernie?
These are Gaucho. This is all a Bernie.
This is all a Bernie. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. Let's put the heavyweights up against each other. The OG cut by Bob, and then the new 45 cut by Bernie.
Well, and Gaucho won a Grammy for Best Recorded Album of 1980. I mean, they started off trying to record it digitally, and I guess Fagan and Nichols and Becker, of course, didn't like the sound of it, or wherever the story went, and so they went back to the analog tape to record it. And of course, Nichols then experimented with digital recording with the Nightfly album that Fagan released in '82. So, and I was mentioning in one of my shows that they use one of the first drum computers as well, like a drum machine called the Wendell for a lot of the tracks, not the whole thing, but again in parts here or there they use a Wendell drum machine. So there's a lot of similarities in sound between Gaucho, I feel, and Nightfly if you really listen to them back to back.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely has. I mean, we would all be lying if we can tell, like, oh, well, this is all analog, and then I can tell this is digital. I can tell this is analog. Well, what the first tell obviously is tape hiss. If you hear tape hiss, I just think people get maybe a little bit too caught up in that. I think my rule for me is if it was originally recorded to tape, and that's the way the artist recorded it and heard it and envisioned it, then I want a reissue that was cut to tape because I want to hear that magic. There's some magic that's happening with those 60s and 70s and maybe even some early 80s and even some 90s recordings that were cut to tape. There's some synergy that happens that the digital can't quite match. That's not to say that the digital cut records aren't amazing, but there's something very immediate and warm. And
well, you were mentioning Nebraska. I mean, obviously we know the whole MoFi thing, but I mean, everyone will say the MoFi Nebraska's One Step is the go-to copy. I mean, that's of course we all know now DSD 256. So
that's it. So they can sound good, but there's something really great about an original pressing or an analog pressing that a digital one. I just don't. Sometimes if you're comparing them, it's really hard to get away from that analog sound. At least for me, that's the way I feel. So
Right.
yeah,
So I mean, with Steely Dan, we still have obviously Gaucho, Royal Scam, I believe, and Katie Lied, and I would assume because there's been that whole DBX issue or Dolby issue when they recorded Katie Lied, and I'm going to assume that will come last in the catalog for Analog Productions. Would I be safe to say that's probably what will happen here? Be the last one out? So they,
that's kind of
yeah,
that's
I don't
kind of
know.
what I think too. Yeah, I think that'll be the last one out, and then we'll have them all.
And I mean, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, if they're getting it from the tape, okay, and this is Katie Lied from the tape, okay, and then Chad and company cut it to vinyl. They're doing the best they can. I don't know what more you can do. If that's the way it was recorded, if this whole DBX thing buggered it up or whatever they had to do, and it comes out and it sounds great. But it's going to be what they have on the tape. I mean, Bernie Grumman can only do so much with the tape that he's given. So it's just the way it was recorded. 100%.
That's exactly
I mean,
it.
yeah, and I think I saw that here. Yeah. Rick's V Spinner. It will be a big challenge given the DBX fiasco when they recorded Katie Lied. So again, I mean, a mastering engineer or Chad and Analog Productions didn't record the bloody thing, so it's not him that recorded it. And we all know the DBX issues before we bought this record. So I mean, really, if there's going to be any negativity, I mean, I think that's kind of lame because it's nothing to do with the cutting engineer or the mastering engineer on this one. I mean, it's how it was recorded, and they did the best they could back then. And they even said they didn't like the way it turned out. Right? That's been documented by Donald Fagen, by Roger Nichols, by Walter Becker. So I think it'll be fine. It's not my favorite album, so it's not one that I'm gonna hit. I have the Mobile Fidelity Katie Lied. I have the original Canadian version. I'm fine with that. I don't need to spend another $300 Canadian when the smoke clears. That's for sure.
Oh, you think that, but when the reviews start coming out, people are like, "Oh my God, it's
the best Katie Lied ever." Oh my gosh, we somehow DBX. We never even heard of that before because it sounds amazing. I mean, who knows? That might be the case. I mean, we could just blow people away, but it'll sound. I'm sure it'll sound amazing. I really do. I mean, come on, it's 45 RPM cut. Bernie has the tapes. It's going to sound good. I mean, how many people have $50,000 systems are going to be able to decipher the small little details and differences and nuances in the sound? I mean, come on, we're really getting down to the nitty gritty, and that's for sure.
We are, yeah, and there's levels to the hobby. I think we all know that. There's folks that are that have their Crosley and they're just starting, and there's folks that have their project table, and maybe they're stepping up their game. And then I mean, there's just kind of levels to it, and just like the records, no one probably that has a project is going to buy the Zeppelin road case. You know what I mean? That's going to be somebody who probably does have a, like you said, a $250,000 system or $1 million sound system. And that's the level of record they want. You know what I mean? And then some people are just happy with the 2014, Jimmy Page rematch, which sound good. There's nothing wrong with those. I mean, at all. And at the price point, they're great. But, when you're wanting like the best of the best, you want them cut analog, you're going to be buying these classic records and DCC pressings. And just because they're a special thing. They're for the upper crust collector.
So I got my brother even trolling me on the show here today. Yeah, I have a hockey card collection, but this is an Audiophile YouTube channel. So I mean, I might have to start a hockey card collection one. That's for sure.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely.
So I know we've got some more. We'll have another Rhino announcement. The Rhino Hi-Fidelity will happen. I think I've got that planned for January 1st. I think it's the first week of January. So there'll be 2 new titles coming out from Rhino Hi-Fidelity. Excited to have that announcement as well. And also too, I mean, if you guys got ideas for Rhino Hi-Fi, let me know. I'll send them off to Patrick from Rhino. I mean, they're always looking for ideas, and it could be anything from the Atlantic, Warner Brothers catalog, right? Anything they have. So I mean, that's a wide breadth of stuff that it can choose from. So yeah, I guess they're obviously looking for ideas. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously Sabbath. I think that's been the resounding
Well,
answer.
I've been plugging the Sabbath self-titled now for a while, so I mean, let's hope that comes out. That'll be epic. It should be, anyways.
Yeah, but I think they're rolling it out nice and slow. They're giving people maybe some ones they've seen before, get them warmed up. Early returns on the Captain and Me are great. I mean, obviously the Cars was now considered the definitive pressing, audiophile pressing at least. And I even love the Quadio. I have some of the Blu-ray, the Quadios, and even if you don't have a quad setup, you just have a 2-channel. I mean, like the Paranoid is just rocking. I mean, it just kicks butt.
Speaking of that, I know Vinyl Me Please, and I know Jefferson Tublandy. I see him watching right now. He reminded me they're coming out with a Black Sabbath cut in January. It was on their website, and then it surprisingly, I went and Googled it. You can see the link still there. I think it's Master of Reality, if I'm not mistaken, but it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's no longer there. So I'm not sure if there's Vinyl Me Please is still doing the Sabbath cut in January. It was supposed to be like a purple splatter vinyl. So it's no longer on their website. So I find that interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah. Vinyl Me Please, they're an interesting label. They're kind of trying to be both. I think they're trying to cater to maybe more of the casual, maybe people that are into the colored vinyl, but they're dipping their toes in the audiophile realm, especially building their new plant there in Denver. It's actually in a suburb there, I think, of Denver, and bringing over Gary from QRP and Analog Productions. That right there tells you they're serious. They've heard people that have talked about maybe some of their stuff that's been pressed at GZ, maybe not having the best quality control. And so they're making big moves to maybe get in the audiophile market. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, you know what? We're at the top of the hour already. Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened? So if anyone wants to, I mean, obviously we wanted to show off what you have today. Where do we go if you really are serious about buying some of this stuff that you're showing today? Where's your website?
Sure. Yeah. I'm just at Hi-Fidelityrecords.com. So it's going to be, hi-fidelityrecords.com. You can go there. Everything I showed you plus more is available through the website. You can contact me through there if you're looking to do some consignment or sell. Also subscribe to my channel. Same thing, Fidelity Records channel. I'll also be doing a video about this collection more in depth that should be premiering either later on today or tomorrow. And reach out and we'll see what we can do. I just want to be able to, because I know a lot of folks, they don't want to mess with, because it is a lot of work to sell these, I mean, I've talked about it before. We were talking about the Rhino and the packaging. I don't mess around packing these things. I know how to pack them to get them anywhere in the world and get them there, unless somebody takes a jackhammer out and go. So, when you buy from somebody like me, you're just getting service and somebody that's, cares as much as you do. Like I said, when I clean these and I put these in the sleeves, and the way I treat them, I treat all these like they're going to go into my collection. So when you buy them, rest assured you're going to get what you paid for. And if you're trying to sell or consign, I'm gonna get you top dollar.
You mentioned VMP's doing their plant. Now, what's MoFi? I know MoFi had that big news before DSD Gate that they're doing a plant. I haven't heard boo about that. Now they're buying this, music hall turntable company. What's happening with this plant? Have you heard anything in your network or connections?
I think that they hired Rick away from RTI to build their plant. I remember that's the main thing I remember about it. And then it started to roll. And then obviously DSD Gate dropped. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe, like I said, maybe they've switched directions and are deciding, hey, let's make the records kind of a fun side thing, and let's concentrate on the equipment, because I do think there is more money in selling the equipment. So I don't know. We'll see.
There you go. Well, thank you, Josh, again. And then I had that recommendation. If you guys want to see Julia Roberts dance to a vinyl record, using a Macintosh amp, and I think someone mentioned it might be a Macintosh turntable. The movie on Netflix is called Leave the World Behind, sort of an apocalyptic sort of conspiracy theory movie. Kevin Bacon's in it as well.
I love bacon.
6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, or whatever that is. So there you go. She dances like Elaine in the movie. I'm just warning you, it's pretty bad, but now you'll see what Pretty Woman dances like in the movie.
Can't wait.
All right, thank you so much. Have a great holiday, Josh, and good luck this coming up 2024, and hopefully you can find a buyer for that beautiful road case on the on your left shoulder there. I just feel like taking that and just taking that plastic off and breaking open the seal and come on, cranking up some Stairway to Heaven or some Black Dog and just going for it. I don't know. It's just gotta do it.
It's tempting. Thanks for having me, Steve. I really appreciate you having me and including me in all the roundtables and
there you go.
And showing people everything. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Okay, and we'll see everyone Friday, big show roundtable. We might have a few rants, so stay tuned this Friday. We'll talk again. See you later.
See ya.